Want to know what grinds my gears of war? Strutting around on the battlefield without a helmet on. I get it. It's done on purpose for visual effect and storytelling, so you can see who the heroes are and the badasses and all that. But it looks dumb. So in Warhammer 40K, if you can wear an epic helmet with cool glowing eyes, why would you want to show your generic roided out caveman face instead? Unless you sport some serious chops, I guess. There might as well be a shoot here indicator to highlight the vulnerable spot of the boss. Like, who does that? You don't look like a badass, you look like a dumbass. These guys look like badasses. I'll freely admit my ignorance when it comes to Warhammer 40K, so let's see what the expert nerds have to say on this topic. Here's a thread about exactly that. Why don't leaders wear helmets? Let's see what people have to say. Their models, and a model without headgear is easier to see on a game table amongst a swarm of models with helmets. Fair enough. You could just make the helmets more distinctive, right? They could have special ornamental features and insignia and flags and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure I've seen that. Wait, am I arguing for wings and horns and shit? Oh, for fuck. Also, berserkers of Wathrax? If you'd rather have something cool looking that doesn't put you in harm's way, how about rings? This one here is made of ceramic with an inlay of synthetic fire opal and ironwood. I'm always happy to be sponsored by Thorum because it's a small family business, and the quality, look, and feel of these rings you can't shake a stick at. Or Shane's sword, I guess. They've got a wide variety of materials and designs, whether it be more traditional or modern, simple or complex, plain or fancy, plenty of options, and they make sure that the rings fit properly too by sending you a sizer. You can wear it for a while to make sure that it really fits comfortably even when your fingers swell up and all that. Excellent service and craftsmanship, great looking stuff. Check it out, link below. Might want to grab my coupon code too while you're at it. According to this person, at least some factions have strict doctrines about the use of helmets. Some people say it's because they don't want their vision to be limited. On a historical battlefield, sometimes you have to lift your visor because you're winded and you need to catch your breath and you can't breathe terribly well and it gets hot and stuffy in that helmet. Okay, fine. Sometimes that goes wrong. Like, for example, on the Battle of Shrewsbury, when two important men took it in the face. One of the two was a prince who went on to become King Henry V in later life, who had to undergo a very painful surgery to remove an arrow that became lodged in his skull. His surgeon even had to invent a new tool to extract the arrowhead. Exactly how that happened is unknown, whether he wasn't wearing his helmet or had the visor up or whatever. The other was Sir Henry Percy, aka Harry Hotspur, who was said to have lifted his visor to catch some air and then caught an arrow in the process. Although according to a different source, an arrow managed to punch through his visor, so in that case that wouldn't have been his fault. Either way, unlike the other Henry, he didn't survive. Either way, even though it was hazardous, there were good reasons to lift the visor of your helmet or even ditch the helmet altogether in real life history. More protective closed helmets did restrict your vision quite a bit and your breathing, and said armor and helmets were hot, all of that, so it was a bit of a bother. Less bothersome than an arrow in your head, I would assume, but still. Anyway, so you're telling me that in the distant future, the designers of space battle armor haven't figured out how to solve the problems of ventilation and vision? Bro, it's sci-fi. The way the armor looks, they wouldn't even fit in it, they wouldn't be able to move in it. Still, it works, okay? They can figure out a way to not restrict their vision or breathing. Before you drop an actually, yes I know Space Marine anatomy is different, but even so, if you look at the armor's bulk and lack of articulation, that would be stiffer than a cheap 80s action figure. Forget about lifting or rotating their shoulders or really doing much of anything other than rigidly waddling and bending the arms at the elbows. Power armor large enough to fit the pilot inside the main body makes much more practical sense. But again, if you're piloting a mech, why would you want to stick out your squishy organic CPU? It's worse than wearing motorcycle gear with assless chaps, or wearing a gas mask with open eye holes. Imagine if Tony Stark was like, I can't breathe, I can't see shit in here. I mean, his original design was like that. It was hilariously terrible. He has his visor he can flip up to show his face and give us some emotional moments. There is the inside the helmet view so we can see him. There are so many ways around it, right? Good old Jim Raynor in StarCraft has a similar thing going on, where when he's talking to someone, the visor is up, but when he's in battle, the damn thing comes down to actually protect him. You can still see his face in the unit view, but it's more like an in-armor camera. It's not canonically open. Gears of War went a different route, where they ditched everything except an ultra-heavy, oddly respirator-themed breastplate, and what looks like the armor equivalent of those phone holder straps for the gym. Looks a bit less imbalanced than the tiny squishy heads in giant armor. Some, like the Space Wolves, might not wear a helmet for scouts because some of their own senses are better than the auto senses the helmet provides. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's only partial armor. Normally when I hear scout, I wouldn't expect any armor, emphasizing mobility instead, but they do fight, so fair enough. I think that's mainly it. The rule of cool. Not being a disposable, faceless, nameless grunt. And what's more impressive and intimidating than your own face? A badass metal face. Even aside from the obvious elephant in the room of running around in massive power armor, leaving the most important squishy bit exposed and vulnerable, I also just don't get it from a visual standpoint. I mean, those helmets are really damn cool, right? And whenever a hero with a cool helmet removes it, it's a bummer. It's kind of a disappointment.
You are a Mandalorian, no more.
Which is why I will never understand why they made the horrible decision in the Halo TV series to let Master Chief not only take off the helmet, but leave it off. He never takes it off. That's his trademark. That's the point. Master Chief is the helmet, pretty much. Some people bring up the point of intimidating the enemy by showing your fearlessness and badassery, but that's also what helmets were for. I mean, that's why you had visors and face masks designed to make you look inhuman or like a threatening monster of some kind, and to hide expressions of pain. Remember that gladiator in Gladiator, the movie from 2000? The one with the face mask, where he can't see anything. There's this cool scene where blood is running out of the mask, which you have to show that way to even show that he's hurt. I mean, okay, aside from the fact that he's keeling over. Other than that, you wouldn't really see anything. And this faceless, inhuman appearance is what's threatening. At least that's what people often found in history. You have plenty of examples like that. And sure, inspiring your troops is all fine and good, but if a commanding officer is taken out by a high-caliber bullet to the face, what kind of impact is that going to have on morale? I understand that not everybody in 40K runs around without a helmet, and there are reasons for the design. I get it, but I'm sorry, it just looks dumb. I mean, not only does it look ridiculous to have this tiny head surrounded by a mountain of steel, but it also just looks like they don't know what they're doing. They look like they're dumbasses who emphasize style over survivability. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Feel free to tell me angrily how wrong I am. Thanks for watching. Take care, folks.